Nearly half the workforce are parents, but 43% of new moms leave their jobs within a year of giving birth. A big driver? Exhaustion. That's why employers like JP Morgan, Snapchat, and Under Armour offer Snoo as an employee benefit, giving new parents a free Snoo Smart Bassinet. Snoo adds hours of sleep with gentle rocking and soothing white noise, and keeps babies safely on their backs all night. Tens of thousands of employees already have access. Refer your workplace at happiestbaby.com/benefit or email benefit@happiestbaby.com.
If you saw the 60 Minutes piece on the Indiana Hoosiers this past Sunday, it was terrific. It was a lot of fun. I even learned a couple of things, even though we follow the team very closely. It was done by Jon Wertheim over at 60 Minutes there, and he joins us now on the Payless Liquors hotline to tell us a little bit more about some of the things he discovered, found out, and what was around with Curt Cignetti and the guys this past couple of weeks. And good morning, Jon. Thanks for being here. We appreciate your time this morning.
Pleasure. How are you doing?
We're doing terrific. We got a team getting ready to play in the college football playoff that nobody saw coming 24 months ago. People are talking about this as one of the greatest turnarounds, if not the greatest turnaround in the history of college football. What were your thoughts going into Bloomington for that story, and what were your thoughts coming out of it?
I had sort of lived this failure. I'm a Bloomington guy and, follow Indiana sports pretty closely and was sort of had lived this. And I guess I wanted to just see it on the ground for myself. I mean, I'd sort of talked to a number of people in town and people I grew up with, and you got to see this team. They're not only they're winning games, they're great to watch. They've got this quarterback who's a super kid, and then just sort of experiencing for myself, seeing the talking to Don Fischer, it really sort of crystallized what a special season this is. Whoever thought we would be in a position where if Indiana did not win a national championship in football, it would carry the sting of disappointment. I've been to plenty of games where you wouldn't even go in from the tailgate because by the end, 10 minutes into the game, it was already 24-0, and you just stayed in the parking lot. So this was big turnaround.
Jon, great piece. We played yesterday the audio of Curt Cignetti kind of retelling maybe his first 24, 48 hours in the job, and the utter disgust that he basically had and how people viewed the Indiana football program. And that's honestly what led to, I think, so much of the boisterous, Purdue sucks, all of that, so on and so forth. That stood out to me. And then you bring up Don Fischer. I thought Don had one of the more just frankly intelligent comments about this turnaround, specifically with the football team. You as a Bloomington native, you've seen Indiana teams be able to score. You've seen Indiana teams that have had quarterbacks and wideouts. But when Don brought up the offensive and defensive lines, I think you just go back and you watch that Big Ten championship game. And that's, to me, where I've never seen the program at a championship level in the trenches like this year's team is.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And some of this was just eye test, right? I mean, you could look for yourself and you could say, hey, listen, Anton Randall, go through the list. Position players were never the issue. It was just Indiana for years and years and years getting beat on the line. And I don't know this was hearsay. Someone told me this, but half the motivation for Mellencamp donating that indoor training facility, part of it was about, they'd have an indoor practice field, but another part of it was this was going to be a lure for the big linemen that always seemed, they existed in Indiana. They just went to Ohio State, Michigan, and Illinois. But I think, the team looks different. It plays different. And again, I think it's also a team you can be proud of. I mean, there's no kind of, hey, feelings we've got to compartmentalize because we know this is a little bit icky. It's just kind of good vibes all around. Some of it to me was like, why did this take so long? You sort of go back through the decades and you sort of say, wait, there are a lot of assets here. Why did this take until 2025 to be this competitive? But no, I think the coach gets a lot of credit, and now it seems kind of. I know you guys know better than I do, but it seems kind of perpetual. Now you're getting recruits and you're getting exposure, and now it's kind of in other sports it can be a fluky one-hit wonder, but football is so structural that you kind of get the feeling that now things are only going to pick up from here.
Jon, when I look at this IU team, last year they had Curtis Rourke, and he was a fine quarterback, an NFL quarterback, and I had questions about Fernando Mendoza and his ability to take over for Curtis, and he has not only taken over very well, but he is the first Heisman Trophy winner in IU history. So when you talk about having a team to like or feel good about rooting for, how much of is he a part of that? Because he seems like the nicest kid ever, but he's also a killer.
He's exactly. I mean, it's kind of this. It also struck me. There's a big overlap with the Midwest. I mean, he's from Miami and he played at Cal, but he seems like a real sort of culturally, it's a nice fit. There's this underdog component to him too. I mean, he said this, but you could. I mean, there is actually. I mean, if you said on September 1st, here are the top 10 quarterbacks that are going to contend for the Heisman, is he on that list? Probably not. So I think his journey really mirrors that of Indiana too, and I think that's part of this story as well. Not a lot not to like about this team was kind of one of my takeaways. Yeah, and it starts with a quarterback. And I also think, you look at the transfer portal, and the one thing I heard before I even started reporting was this program is really, they've gotten some money and they've gotten Cuban to step up and they've invested in football, and Coach Cignetti really makes good use of the transfer portal. But look at that roster. I mean, I don't have it in front, but it's Western Kentucky, it's Navy, It's Northern Illinois. It's not all starting quarterbacks at Cal who went to a bowl game. A lot of these players that came through the transfer portal really were developed when they got to Bloomington, and I wonder if that isn't part of the story that has been overlooked a little bit.
Jon Wertheim, 60 Minutes, joining us here on the Fan Morning Show. And John, one of the things I was fascinated by this too, little things sometimes. I need to know more about John Mellencamp's private little crow's nest up there. How cool was that to hang out in there?
Yeah, I think it's as much, he said this, so I don't think I'm violating any confidentiality. I mean, I think it's as much about open air where he can smoke than anything else. But yeah, I mean, who knew that above the you sort of see this shack above the press box and you say, well, I don't know, maybe it's the opposing team has got a camera up there, or it's for, the video coordinator for IU. Who knew that, our Grammy-winning Hall of Fame local musician is there watching games from his own little, it's like an ice fishing hut. But also he really, I mean, I got to say to his credit, I mean, he said he was once the Jasper High School mascot for the football team. So this is a guy whose relationship with football goes way back. This is not, some bandwagon fan who's now showing up because the team is undefeated. I mean, he sat through plenty of lopsided losses starting in the 70s. So he's earned this as much as any long-suffering Indiana football fan.
Jon Wertheim, certainly a legendary name when it comes to journalism business, sports journalism, and you saw the 60 Minutes piece with him on Indiana football on Sunday. John, it's funny, a few weeks ago, I was talking to our producer, Mark, and I said, at some point here, as we get closer to the NCAA tournament, we need to try to get John on, because I thought you wrote an excellent piece a few weeks back highlighting the 1976 Hoosiers and now the 50-year anniversary that we are in of that undefeated team. There are so many, and honestly, I'd love to have you on here maybe in a few months to dive a little bit deeper into that. Wild that takes the back burner to Indiana football, but welcome to 2025 here. Maybe just the anecdote that struck you the most in talking to the various players in that piece, because I thought there were just really several different things that were a great read in there.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, I hope these guys, it's really funny. You're right. I mean, here we are in mid-December, and like Indiana basketball, both, the current team, which is a good team, and this 50-year anniversary of the last undefeated team, they've all been kind of subsumed by Heisman winning and an undefeated football team. I'm not sure who would have predicted that, but yeah, I mean, it's been 50 years now, which is crazy, since that the 76 team. I don't know. I'll tell you a quick funny story, which is I called Kent Benson and left a voicemail. Hey, I'm doing this story. I'd like to get some recollections. And half an hour later, he calls me back with Bob Wilkerson on the other line, because he wanted to be sure that his teammate shared his reflections and got his glory as well. And I'm thinking, it was 50 years later, and these guys are probably in their early 70s, and they still have, if my man beats me to the basket, don't worry, because I got you. I mean, they still have this kind of got your back relationship. I mean, I think part of it is just how extraordinary this team was, how tough their schedule was. I don't think has been told enough. And also, there really wasn't a star. I mean, I guess you'd probably say it was Scott May and Ken Benson, but you look at the great teams in college basketball history, and there's, it's Kareem, who goes on to become one of the great NBA players after UCLA, and, Jordan takes Carolina to the championship. I mean, I'm not sure any of the I think all starting fives played in the NBA, but I don't think any of them averaged more than 10 points. This was really very much in, this was really a Bob Knight team, and there wasn't a standout player. There wasn't a guy who reliably was giving you 30 points a night, but they were all versatile. They all played defense, and they all did it together. You don't see a lot of championship dynastic teams form that way. And I got a hot take for you, but here's something I was thinking when I was in Indiana last week, which is, we all write about this. I wonder if the success of the football team now isn't bringing some measure of closure to the Bob Knight saga, which remained an open wound, as you know, well after he left. I got the feeling that Coach Sig is sort of the best of Bob Knight, and the success of football is actually kind of helping to heal this Hoosier nation that still in some ways hasn't quite gotten over or processed the Bob Knight departure. I felt like it had closure on the Bob Knight era through the football team. Do you buy that?
John, they walked out to Griffey Lake and they had to sacrifice the IU basketball team in order to be good at football. As a Bloomington native, could you appreciate that maybe?
Well played. That's a great analogy and a great reference. Man, I wish I'd thought of that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just got the feeling that, Coach Sig reminds people of the best of Bob Knight without the chair throwing. And it's kind of like, we do things differently here, and the hard-ass coach can still thrive, and accountability still matters. And in some ways, this football team is a validation of Coach Knight and what he stood for. In some ways, it's a repudiation, but it seems like the tribe has come back together, and it wasn't a basketball team that did it, but that was just my sense on the ground.
Love those thoughts.
I think it's really well said. Don Fischer comes on our noon to 3 show here with Jake Query every Monday, and I was listening to him a couple days ago, and he mentioned the feeling he has right now with Curt Cignetti in the football program is reminiscent of the Knight era, in that simply, I just don't think we're ever going to lose, which is about as high of praise as you could ever garner for either the team you cover or fans are natural skeptics like that. I mean, that's fandom and skepticism might as well go hand in hand. And for you to believe that about the team that you cheer for, let alone it being the Indiana University football program, is just light years into amazing.
That's well put. And again, I mean, I just, 2 years ago there were 3. Curt Cignetti arrived because the team won one of its 9 Big Ten games. The speed of this turnaround and how thorough it is, and how it doesn't seem to be dependent on one star. Shaq goes to LSU, okay, fine, but it doesn't. It seems much more sort of bottom up and organic than, hey, we got lucky and got this one star player, and then we're going to go back to Indiana State 1980. The speed of all this is part of the story too, and I'm not sure. Knight was already had a solid program in the early 70s, but it was really fun to see. Again, you guys know this better than I do, but 2 years ago, I don't think anyone was thinking, boy, if Indiana doesn't complete this undefeated season, it's going to be disappointing. They beat Ohio State and take over the number 1 ranking. The fact that this all came out of nowhere makes it special as well.
John, thanks for your time this morning. We appreciate it more than you know. Great job on the piece this past Sunday night, and we look forward to seeing more of your work in the future, as always.
You got it. I appreciate it. Go Hoosiers.
What's up, baby? It's Bretsky, and I know you're in Illinois. Get your face out of the deep dish pizza for a second, okay? SpinQuest.com has slots and table games that are absolutely free with the ability to win real cash prizes straight to your bank account. Head over there right now because they're selling $30 coin packages for only $10. SpinQuest.com.
SpinQuest is a free-to-play social casino. Void where prohibited. Visit SpinQuest.com for more details.